included with the built-in designs are eyelet designs, cutwork designs, and applique designs. And I'm going to walk you through the applique technique that you will find on a couple of these built-in designs. They're kind of fun. I'm going to do design number 7. Number 7 is this great little flower. Now what you're going to notice is there's some universal symbols with a star and a pair of scissors indicating what you're going to do, placing fabric and trimming in between color 1 and 2 and in between color 2 and color 3. So let's just go ahead and get started. We'll walk you through the basics of applique because you'll find this is a great time saver in so many places. So I have the design on my screen, and I actually have some high contrast thread actually on or in the needle, and then that way you can see what you're doing. You can actually have the color you're going to be satin stitching with later. You can have the color. It really doesn't matter because this part here is going to get covered up. It looks like there's extra color sections to this particular design, but there isn't. There's actually just placement. So what it does is it stops after color 1, and I'm going to trim the thread. That is the indication of where we want fabric to be placed. The beauty is you can put any color of fabric. So if you want a green flower today and a blue flower tomorrow, you just put the fabric down. You can also put a little spray adhesive on here and stick it down. A glue pen would be another option. You can put a little glue in there. A lot of times I even just lay the fabric down and kind of hold it with my fingers. But for any reason, that's not something you want to do. Just glue stick it down. Take the few stitches. What it's going to do, the second color, is to go around that same outline that it did in the first step, but this time tacking it down. Remember, that first step is to show you how big a piece of fabric you actually need to cover up that area. So you could just put a piece of fabric in there, lay it down. Doesn't even have to be any shape or size, just bigger than the placement line, and you know it's going to fit. Now the second time that it stitches, notice it's going around it 2 times. That is going to give it a little extra stability for when I go to trim. Now in your section or in your book, that's where the little scissors are between color 2 and 3. You need to stop and trim. You can take the hoop off the machine, or if you want to go to the trim position option, you can bring that towards you so you can actually trim it out. Here, we'll zoom out here so you can actually see. That's sometimes easy until your scissors don't get into all the little grooves and crannies at that right position. Might be easier to have the hoop in your lap and actually twist the hoop around. What you want to do is get nice and close. So the closer the better. Even if you accidentally snip one of those little threads that the outline was made with, that's okay, because the next step is the satin stitch where it's going to come all the way around and cover this up. But the closer the trimming, that means less of the little raw edges that you're leaving here will show or peek out from underneath that satin stitch. Now that our design is trimmed, we're ready for color 3. I'm going to keep the same color on it, and we'll just go ahead and let the nice bright pink be the outside of our flower here. So first thing it's going to do is go around with kind of an open zigzag stitch that kind of helps hold any of those raw edges in place. It also gives, once it goes around with the heavier stitching, the satin stitching a little bit of a raised look to it. So it gives it some life and dimension, which I really like. So it has 2 purposes when coming to the applique. Little extra tack down, some of the details that are going into the other areas. All right, so once this goes, it just puts that nice, you could do this with a sewing machine and make it all perfect and mitered, and an embroidery applique is one of my favorites because it really is fast. I don't have to wait for all this area to be stitched in with thread. So it saves thread, it saves time, and you get to change up your colors just by changing your fabric. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and let the rest of this design stitch out. This was the only part that needed the applique. Some applique designs might have you do this 2 or 3 times throughout the process, depending on what it is. It's kind of neat. You have some other designs in your built-in collection that you will find have an applique technique to them. And that is how fun embroidery applique can be.